goodness it's Friday. I hope you venters are having a wonderful day. Since it's Friday for me, that means it's Saturday for you. So I hope you guys are making the most of your weekend by starting it with a daily walk. Guys, I love Rashad Richey, I love Reese Waters, and I also love iHit News. Those are three very left-leaning, even Sam Seder, 3 or 4 very left-leaning podcasts and YouTube channels that I enjoy, even though I'm very much conservative. Why? Because they have good shows. They talk about really interesting topics, and many times they even have really interesting points. The reason I don't jump on their team, so to speak, and I'm still conservative, is because of the points that they don't make. Today I'm going to talk about a situation where this gentleman here, his name is Cyrus Walters. He lives in Cleveland. This guy attacked not 1, not 2, but 3 men within a 30-day period. And this judge here, her name is Cassandra Collier Williams, let this man off with a misdemeanor each time. And every time he got off, he went right back into the community and beat up another person. David Dudley was actually Cyrus Williams' first victim. Cyrus beat him to a pulp, broke his shoulder, and then repeatedly beat this man on the back of his head, causing some pretty serious injuries. The reason that David Dudley is really shocked is because he's a defense attorney. He's been in front of thousands of judges, but he was totally shocked with how Judge Collier Williams didn't give a shit and literally let the guy walk. The guy admitted to guilt, he did not apologize, and instead of charging him with a felony, she actually dropped it to a misdemeanor, so he was literally allowed to walk without getting in trouble. This second guy looks kind of like an offensive or defensive lineman. His name is Tony. He got his eyeglasses broken, he got his eye blackened, and he pretty much got repeatedly beaten, no different than David Dudley. When he went in, the judge basically allowed Cyrus to walk again. When he walked this second time, he immediately, within 2 or 3 days, attacked a third man who they didn't show, but they attacked him so badly that he had to get quite a few stitches to, I guess, stop the bleeding. Every single time, Collier Williams had an opportunity to throw the book at this young man, she decided to give him no penalty at all. The reason I get so frustrated is because the Reese Waters, the Rashad Richeys, the iHit News, the Sam Seder, they constantly have a way of telling us that the orange man is really the cause of our problems. When in reality, the cause of our problems, at least where I live, is all this crime that we constantly see. It's depressing. You see these news channels talk about how in inner city Chicago, they went from a dozen or so McDonald's franchises a year and a half ago, and now they're down to like 4 or 5. Wherever you let crime flourish, business dies, people get depressed, some people run for the hills and try to escape, but guess what? We live in a world that's so expensive, it's kind of difficult to run for the hills. So we rely on people like Judge Collier Williams to protect us. But if you look at Judge Collier Williams, it seems like she cares more about her hair and beauty routine than she actually does protecting the people. So why do I say this? The reason I say this is because a lot of Democrats and a lot of my liberal viewers that watch me and go for walks with me, I don't care if you want to vote Democrat on a national level because maybe you're trying to change the country or you're trying to change the world for the better. But when it comes to the cities that we all have to live in and survive in together, you gotta quit voting in these blue judges. You gotta quit voting blue on the local level because it's literally ruining our cities, which are basically ruining our states, which are ultimately ruining our country. So that's why I'm not a Democrat. It's impossible to just ignore the evil shit that a lot of Democrat judges seem to allow to happen left, right, and center. And when our favorite Democrat and liberal content creators ignore this to tell you more bad things that the Orange Man have done, it really comes across as insincere. So if any of you guys watch any of their channels, go on their channel, leave a comment, and ask why they're not talking about Cyrus Walters. Ask why they're not talking about horrible Judge Cassandra Collier Williams. And people like David Dudley, who's a defense attorney, those guys are predominantly blue voters. He probably had this shit coming. He probably is the reason that a lot of these horrible criminals walk free. For all I know, David Dudley had it coming. So I don't really feel bad for the defense attorney, believe it or not. It's kind of shitty. We live in a country where everybody's guaranteed a defense. Jesse, you're sounding anti-American. I'm tired of people coddling the evil. We need to fight the evil by telling everyone that it's unacceptable. This judge should be booted out of office immediately. She should be audited. They should see if she actually has ties to some of these criminals, and something should happen to her in a criminal court. Can I get an amen? So that, in case you guys are wondering, why does Jesse ignore all the bad stuff Orange Man does? Because the alternative is to go to the blue craziness. And I don't see any reason in the world why a sane human being would want to be on the side of blue and crazy. If you go into the city at night, this is America. You should be able to go wherever you want without fear of your safety. And since we don't have that, something is wrong. And the only people that I constantly see are absolutely wrong are these blue judges in these blue cities. And I'm assuming Cleveland is probably the bluest dot in all of Ohio. I think they ought to say Ohio to that judge. And I think that judge's picture should be plastered all around the country so that people can shame her. You know, I don't think she's ever going to go to jail for this. The judges never get in trouble for this. But again, that's on us. We need to start telling people, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, independent, communist, socialist, whatever, you should still want the criminals to serve, and you should want justice to happen. This is embarrassing. Let's go to some of these questions. Again, this was from 19 News in Ohio. By the way, you would have never heard about this if they wouldn't have taken it public like they did, which in and of itself is kind of sad. There's always a silver lining. The silver lining is these 3 victims. Odds tell us at least 1 or 2 of them was probably a Democrat. They're a Republican now. This is how Republicans get made. They wait until they're victimized, and then they say, maybe we should have stricter laws. Maybe we should have judges that obey the law and put bad guys behind bars. So the silver lining is that this is how Republicans are made. I thought babies get made by storks. No, Republicans get made by bad people doing bad things. That's how people say enough is enough. I'm going to vote red. So again, if you want to vote for Democrat ideals on a national level, go for it. But do yourself a solid and quit voting that way locally. Golly, could you imagine how wonderful the world would be if we got all these thugs off of our streets? Could you imagine how nice it would be to be able to go anywhere in the country and not have to worry about some criminal that should be behind bars attacking and victimizing us and our family members? It just seems like a duh type moment, yet we have these judges that are basically criminals themselves. Somebody does one thing, you give them a second chance, that's one thing. But I think the thing that upsets conservatives like myself is that you're blindly giving these people 5 and 6 chances. Even when she let him off with a misdemeanor, according to Mr. Dudley, it was a situation where she didn't even give him supervision. And until Channel 19 News decided to take it public, the city of Cleveland didn't even put a detective on this case. But once they found out that it was going to make the news, they ended up actually putting some action behind their words. That should irritate people enough. You have to get the news involved for the courts and the judges to do their job and protect us? That is just disgusting. I hope that this video gets some good comments, but it'll probably want to be one of my videos that gets ignored. But again, we should go to these liberal stations and we should say, hey, you talk a great game. How come you never mention this stuff? Because they don't. They only mention it from the bad guy's point of view all the time, and they get so many fans. It's almost like evil does have a good team, isn't it? God, I want you guys to think about that. Why does evil always win? God, we should do something about that shit. J, see how it's been. 3177 says, that judge is a disgrace. She needs to be removed from office. Yeah, I think she needs to be removed from office, but I think there ought to be a probe to see if she's doing anything illegal. Anybody that's cool with criminals just being back in public, they must not think much of the law. This is probably one of those ladies that when she gets pulled over by police, she probably ends up threatening them and telling them that she knows their boss. You know, you've seen those politicians and judges. They get pulled over for a simple traffic ticket. They're drunk as a skunk. And because they're so powerful and have so many friends, the cops can't even do their job. God, I get so upset. I get worked up. That's a good vent. Sometimes you're not going to be upset at a YouTube video. Sometimes you're going to be upset because you just had an argument with Dale at work. Sometimes you're going to be upset because you just had an argument with your son or your folks. That's when it's good to put your shoes on and go take a walk. Take a cleansing breath, bring it down to a lower level. No one's going to get hurt here. We're just talking. But I want you guys to think about this. If you want to vote for Kamala, if you want to vote for Joe Biden, if you want to vote for, AOC in the future, fine. Why do you have to vote that way locally? I don't understand that at all. Quit voting that way. All it does is cause carnage and it destroys our life. Joe K. 5492 says, if he kills someone, that judge should go to prison. Joe, I couldn't agree with you more. Here's the scary thing. We're hearing about this now because a defense attorney decided to take it to the news. How many times has this judge coddled other bad guys and criminals and thugs and just let them back into the community? I'd be willing to bet that if we audited her, she's probably done this hundreds, if not thousands of times. And you know why she does this, ladies and gentlemen? Because she probably makes $180,000 a year. At the end of her day, she gets in her Mercedes that she bought from Germany, and she probably goes into her white neighborhood where she lives behind gated security. Do you see how that works? That bird looked like bird flu. Scott Kraft 1062 says, this is how you destroy a country. Amen, Scott. If you guys go to this video, I want you to look at all of the comments. The comments are showing a common theme. Everyone is tired of bad guys not getting their due, of bad guys skipping out on justice. Meanwhile, if you protect yourself, you protect your home, you have a concealed carry, if you protect yourself, they're looking to throw you in jail. Is that crazy? Is that backwards? This country that we call America seems nothing like the country I grew up in. It's very scary where we're headed, and I just wish people that voted blue could open their eyes. How can you say that? Half your venters are blue. I bet 3/4 of you are. The only way you're ever going to see the conservative point of view is through somebody like me that you see as down to earth, because you can't argue with this logic. You got a judge that is just letting bad people out into the community knowing that they're going to do it again, and she doesn't care. Awful. R. Kirshner says, bro is an example of why I do carry. You know, it's funny. We always make it look like the gun is the bad guy. The bad guy is the bad guy. Bad guys take guns and do bad things. Good people have guns to protect themselves from the bad guy. So what we ought to quit doing is, instead of trying to take everybody's gun away from them, we ought to take known bad guys and we ought to throw them in jail for a lot longer than 60 days or a week and a half. It's a travesty to the victims when you let bad guys ride out. If anything, that probably pisses the bad guy off, and he probably wants to go attack the same victims. That's what's so criminal about it, in my opinion. William Hall, 1659. But they will prosecute a victim who exacts his own justice to the fullest. So what he's saying is, if you have your own gun and somebody tries victimizing you and you decide, I'm going to use this gun and protect myself, those same judges are willing to throw you in jail forever for protecting yourself. Now, if you can't see that there's something really back-ass about that, then you're just choosing not to see it, no different than these famous YouTubers are choosing to ignore it. So again, the next time you think, God, Republicans are just horrible people, at least Republicans want to get rid of some of this crime that we're plagued with, whereas some of the blue leaders, they really like to turn a blind eye to it and actually push it out upon us. Maya YQ1MX says, this judge obviously did not have the best interest of the community in mind. She's an activist, not a rational individual. It's not hard to see why the city is going down the toilet. Wouldn't it be great if we replaced this one judge with artificial intelligence? You know, that scary thing that we're afraid is going to take over the world? If it took over our court system and helped us eliminate crime by using strategy instead of idiocy, we might actually have a better country. What we ought to do is get rid of these teachers in these impoverished neighborhoods, replace them with artificial intelligence, and we ought to get rid of these judges and these parole boards and replace them with artificial intelligence, because you just can't trust the human beings that are in power right now. So Collier Williams, shame on you from the Walk Talk Vent land. Shame on you. And it doesn't matter if someone's blue, independent, or red. You should all agree with me. Shame on this judge. Shame. 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 I know at least one of you guys were echoing that sentiment with me. That's why I walk. Walk every day. Not only does it help you blow off steam, but it keeps you healthy. The last thing you want when some crazy man is coming in to shoot up a building or to start attacking people, you want to be healthy enough to defend yourself and run. So walk every single day, drink water, avoid sugar, and probably the most important thing, be aware of your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel. If you're in a long corridor of a bunch of people and you see somebody acting a fool at the end of it, go the opposite way. Get out of there. You don't always have to be nosy. With that being said, you should be nosy when it comes to your future. So make sure you wear your shoes, go out, take a walk, come back again tomorrow. We'll do this again. Have a good night.